I grew up with a quiet understanding. We didn't talk about the basement. Mom never said why, but the rule was clear. Even my dad, stoic as a statue, would get this faraway look in his eyes if anyone mentioned it. I always figured it was just junk down there, old furniture or broken appliances. But when I returned home after 10 years away, something about the house felt wrong. My parents were gone by then, and I'd inherited the house. It seemed darker, like a place where the shadows clung too tightly to the walls. On my first night, I couldn't sleep. The house was so silent, but somehow it felt full, like it was holding its breath, waiting. At around midnight, I heard a strange creak from the basement door down the hall. I froze, heart pounding, and then reminded myself that houses make noises. But when it creaked again, I knew it wasn't the wind. Swallowing my nerves, I walked over to the basement door and found it slightly ajar. I don't remember leaving it that way. Against every instinct, I grabbed a flashlight and descended the stairs, the old wood groaning under each step. The light barely cut through the darkness, illuminating boxes and cobwebs, shadows stretching across the walls. As I reached the bottom, the air grew colder, and I noticed a faint smell, something old and stale, like damp earth and rot. In the back corner, there was an old chest covered in dust and scuffed around the edges. I felt a strange pull, like it was calling to me. I crouched down, ran my fingers over its rough surface, and hesitated, heart hammering. Then, with a shaky breath, I opened the chest. Inside, there was a stack of faded photographs. I held them up to the flashlight, squinting at the grainy images. They were family photos, but they weren't right. In every picture, I could make out my parents and other relatives, but something was horribly off. Their eyes were hollow, their expressions frozen in twisted smiles that sent chills down my spine. My fingers trembled as I flipped through the photos, a sick feeling pooling in my stomach. The further I went, the worse the images became. My family members were standing in odd poses, their limbs at unnatural angles, like broken dolls. In one photo, I recognized my mother, her face blank, her arms twisted behind her back, and next to her was me. But it wasn't the me I remembered. This version of myself looked lifeless, my skin a sickly grey, eyes wide and empty. I stumbled back, dropping the photos. My breathing grew ragged as I tried to make sense of what I'd seen. Then I noticed something at the bottom of the chest, a small, leather-bound journal. Its pages were fragile and yellowed, and the writing inside was shaky, almost frantic. It was my mother's handwriting. I skimmed through the entries, my horror mounting with each word. The journal detailed strange rituals, secrets she'd kept hidden from the rest of the family. She described a deal she'd made with something she called the Watcher, an entity that promised eternal protection but demanded a bloodline offering every generation. My skin crawled as I read on. According to her, every family member was marked, bound to this deal. The Watcher required a sacrifice, someone chosen to suffer to keep it satisfied. And the sacrifice had always been me. I stumbled backward, my head spinning. Memories I'd buried resurfaced, the nightmares I'd had as a child, the dark figure I thought was just a shadow in my room, and the whispers. I remembered the whispers, low and rasping, telling me I was theirs. My heart racing, I turned to leave, but something caught my eye, a faint outline in the wall, as if a door was hidden beneath the plaster. Without thinking, I pushed against it, and a small compartment swung open, revealing a dark passage. The smell of rot intensified, filling my lungs. I shone my flashlight down the passage, and there, at the end, I saw a figure, a twisted, hunched silhouette with hollow eyes. It tilted its head, watching me, and I recognized it from the photographs. It was me, or some twisted version of me, smiling with that empty, hollow gaze. My legs gave out, and I collapsed on the basement floor, the entity advancing, its voice slithering through the air. "You were promised," it rasped. "The blood must continue." I scrambled backward, heart pounding, but the thing didn't move. It stood there watching, as if waiting for me to accept what I'd always been, a piece in this twisted family legacy, bound by a deal I never knew existed. As I escaped up the stairs, slamming the basement door shut, I realized there was no way to run from the Watcher. The house, my family, this dark legacy, they were all waiting for me, bound by secrets that would never let me go.